are the most underrated Zetas in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. We have so many Zetas in this game, and a lot are very, very used Zetas, and some aren't, but still pack a pretty serious punch. Are you a trendsetter? Do you like to be that guy that has something nobody else has? Please consult my list and see if you have some of the more trendy Zetas out there that not very many people have, but also still have a tremendous amount of value in the game. Now, to be considered on this list, I just want you guys to know I went over to SWGOH.gg. They have a Zeta and Omega report, and on the Zeta report, they basically gauge all of this data for everybody registered to SWGOH.gg, which is not every single person, but it is still a pretty good sample size of the Galaxy of Heroes community. And they have 5 pages of every single Zeta and stats on how many people have assigned those Zetas to characters. And so to be considered on this list, you have to at least be on page 3 of this, which starts with, let's see, it says Amphis Nest's Zeta, which is 0.53% of all Zetas. So that is the starting point of where those can be considered. All right, starting with number 5, First Order Stormtroopers Return Fire. This Zeta is actually really valuable in a First Order team, and First Order teams have quite a bit of value, especially, I mean, in Arena, the value is going to be a little bit more limited. They're going to be very effective against Jedi teams. So if you have a lot of Jedi teams, you may have a lot of success with the First Order team. But this is going to extend beyond the Arena and more into territory battles, territory wars, etc. First Order Stormtroopers Return Fire Zeta is only 0.35% of all Zetas. So not a lot of people have this. And what that Zeta ability adds is whenever First Order Stormtrooper uses an ability, he has a 50% chance to call a random ally to assist, dealing 50% more damage unless they are First Order. So they're at 100% damage if they're First Order. Then grants them advantage for 2 turns if they were First Order. So you're obviously going to be running First Order Stormtrooper in a First Order team 9 out of 10 times. 100% damage on those assists and advantage for 2 turns, so you can have that guaranteed crit. Very, very good Zeta to have, and it really kind of helps make that First Order team hum to get some extra DPS out there, which the First Order teams, especially when you add First Order Executioner onto the team, you can have some pretty serious DPS on those teams. And in my opinion, every time I've used a First Order team, I think that they are one of the most exciting, fun teams to run in the whole game. So coming in at number 5, First Order Stormtroopers Return Fire. Number 4 on the list is Visas Mar Returned to the Light. And this Zeta is really, in my opinion, what makes Visas Mar a fantastic character, and I think she's really underutilized in this game by a lot of people. 0.25% of all Zetas, very small percentage of you guys have Visas Mar Zeta. What the Zeta adds is, while Visas Mar has no debuffs, she has a 60% chance to assist when another ally attacks Sith enemies once per turn. And so if you can keep some tenacity on Visas, especially if you're running her in a Jedi team, get some tenacity up with Grandmaster Yoda. You're attacking Sith basically everywhere in raids, in territory wars, in the arena. And every single time you're attacking a Sith on your team, you're going to have a chance for Visas to join the attack, which is very, very solid to have. Not to mention that Visas Mar is also going to have revive potential. That's not part of her Zeta, but she's just a really effective character to utilize in general. And so add this Zeta on top of it, and it really kind of packs a punch, get some extra DPS spread out there. Coming in at number 3, we have Imperial Probe Droid Zeta, Imperial Logistics. And what the Zeta adds here is, while Imperial Probe Droid is active, target locked enemies can't gain buffs. Now think about that for a second. That is insanely effective against a lot of buff heavy teams, especially Jedi. It's going to be tremendously useful in territory wars and territory battles. Lots of utility there to prevent those target locked enemies from gaining buffs, and you have a lot of target lock potential with Imperial Probe Droid on his AoE, and then say pair him with IG-88. You've got a lot of benefit there that you can prevent those enemies from gaining buffs. It's kind of like, I was actually talking to Arnold T101 about this, because he's like the Empire guy. I said, hey Arnold, what do you think about Imperial Probe Droids Zeta. He said it's like a souped up version of B2 Super Battle Droid's buff immunity that he spreads out. So very effective Zeta, and only 0.05% of the player base has that Zeta, according to SWGOH.GG. Coming in at number 2, and this is going to bring on some comments. I'm just ready for them. I'm just ready for whatever you guys cook up. But I am ranking Chief Chirpa number 2 on this list for his Zeta ability. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, long time ago, way back in February this year, I was in a competition with Arnold in mobile, and I lost the competition, and Mobile Gamer got to choose a Zeta to place on any character on my entire roster. He chose Chief Chirpa, and so we've had this running gag of Chief Chirpa on this channel because I have a Zeta Chirpa, but if you look at my account here, I do not have him geared. I have not been utilizing him at all. So for me, this Zeta is not underrated for me personally because he's completely useless. I have not farmed this character, and it will be useless in many ways if you do not farm the Ewoks. But for those who have a full Gear 12 Ewok team, everybody who has an Ewok team, go ahead and let me know in the comments and tell me how much you love your Zeta Chirpa. A lot of you guys who have that have been really, really pleased with this Zeta ability. So a big disclaimer on this Zeta is you do have to have that full Ewok team. Do you want to farm Ewoks or do you not? Maybe that could be a big enough disclaimer for you to ignore that this is more niche. But that said, look at what this Zeta does. Whenever an Ewok ally uses a special ability, 60% chance to call another random Ewok to assist. There's a lot of special abilities out there, and that just brings in the cavalry, my friends. Lots of yub nub coming right at you all day with Zeta Chirpa. Now, please note, this is not going to work in the arena for most people. I've seen very few able to make Ewoks work in the arena. If you are able to, it might be in the lower ranks or maybe in an earlier shard. But that said, you still do have a lot of use for Ewoks in territory battles, in territory wars, and just for pure game enjoyment. To me, even though I don't have an Ewok team, the Ewoks are really fun to utilize. They're fun to use in those game modes, especially when I've been able to use them on the test account. I think, man, these guys are fun. I don't want to farm them, but they're really fun. So for those of you who have Ewoks, Chief Chirpa coming in at number 2 on the list. And look at this, 0.18% of all Zeta abilities. And then finally, coming in at number 1 is the most underrated Zeta ability in the game, in my opinion. VANDOR Chewbacca's Ferocious Protector. Now look at what this adds. Whenever another light side scoundrel ally is defeated, revive that ally at 60% health. If Chewbacca is prepared, then Chewbacca is no longer prepared. This is 0.02% of all Zeta abilities, and this has really changed the landscape. This Zeta ability, at first, it was good. It wasn't utilized so much, but now with the emergence of Zalbar, we have a Territory Wars defensive team that is just completely changing the landscape of Territory Wars defense. This is, of course, the team with Kira Lead, Zalbar, VANDOR Chewbacca, and we've got Enfys Nest in there, and L3. This team, without having, say, Traya, is insanely difficult to beat. And this revive is part of what makes that team so just OP. Because VANDOR Chewbacca is going to have prepared for a lot of that battle. And you're going to have a really hard time. You got so many bouncing taunts. When I fight this team, I'm usually able to burn through L3 or somebody who's taunting, and then they just get taken right back because of this Zeta ability at 60% health. Very, very vital to that team, and in my opinion, the most underrated Zeta ability in the game because of how OP that Zeta is in Territory Wars. All right, my friends, what did you think about my list? What are some Zeta abilities that you think are underrated? Let me know down in the comments below. If you liked the video, go ahead, click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, my brothers, don't forget.
My dead body. Sorry about the mess.